Hello you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video. We're in the comfy chair. We're in our sweatpants. It's a holiday Monday. It's gloomy. It's gonna rain. I'm like really painting the picture for you guys right now. We got the candle going. Figured we were overdue for just like a chatty life catch up Q&A. If you guys are new here, I like to film these quarterly and they're just supposed to feel like a yappy FaceTime call. Like ring ring, Carter's answering. She wants to catch up. We haven't talked in a few months, or we have, but like surface level vlog style. Let's catch up. Let's get deep. Let's get real. And hopefully these videos kind of help you guys feel a bit more like connected with me. I feel like I do a good job in the vlogs of like chatting about day-to-day life. I just like to keep you guys in the loop. So here we are. There is so many questions. I asked you guys on Instagram and there were literally more questions that I hadn't ever seen before in my life. There was so many. Could have something to do with the fact that there has been 6,000, sorry, I just checked, 6.5 thousand new people here in the last 28 days, which is absolutely crazy. That is mind-blowing to me. So hello, if you're one of those new people. I can't even wrap my head around that many new people joining our corner of the internet, which isn't even that small anymore. So hi, hello. If you guys are new here, let's do like a little rapid fire, frequently asked questions. I'm Carter, I'm 27. My husband Matt is 28. He's a nurse. I'm an education coordinator. I've been working with the hospital for almost 6 years now. I work a part-time corporate job, so I work between 3 to 4 days a week. We have 2 dogs. We have our 4-year-old Labrador named Stella, and then we foster failed on our first go last year with our, we think she's 2, sweet Delilah. She is believed to be a black-mouthed cur, which is not a breed I feel like I ever hear anyone talk about. We bought a condo in the suburbs in 2021. We were there for a year and a half. We fixed it up. It was kind of always like a short-term flip-ish for us. We just kind of wanted to get in the market. And then are coming up on 1 year of having this 100-year-old surprise fixer-upper, which I feel like everyone I talk to about old homes says the exact same thing, where basically we came to see the house, it looked great, the inspection went like, you know, as good as it could go for an old home. Then we move in and everything is falling apart because obviously a home inspection like can't see what's behind walls and stuff, and a lot was covered up by the previous owner. So here we are in our surprise fixer-upper, but we'll get into that later. I'm trying to think what else you guys need to know about me. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and I'm getting my graduate certificate right now in health systems management, which is basically like they took kind of like half the classes or a third of the classes for like an MHA and allowed you to do a certificate course if you wanted to take them. So they're like graduate level courses, but I'm not graduating with an MHA or anything. I might one day, but I'm paying out of pocket for school. So I wanted to go the affordable route. This was a question a lot of you guys asked and we'll get into it, but I've been on like hiatus or on a break from school for the last year just because life has been crazy. Just trying to put my mental health first. I was gonna say I have a mom and a dad. Like obviously Carter, you're here in this world, you have a mom and a dad. I have 2 siblings, they're both younger than me. My brother's in 2nd year university and my sister is in her early 20s. What else? I love books. I love to read. Well, that goes hand in hand. Well, books and reading is 2 separate hobbies. We love Disney World, we love thrifting, traveling on a budget, personal finance, a recent love for home projects, especially DIY ones. I love coffee, I love yapping. I feel like I could be forgetting something important, but hopefully I am not. So that's a little bit about me in case you guys are curious. And like I said, you guys asked so many questions. So honestly, let's jump into it. We're very comfy cozy here on the chair. I get so many questions on this chair. Let's start off with that. This is the IKEA back Salem chair and a half. It's like an oversized chair, like a 1.5. Love it so much. The review said that it wasn't comfy. I highly recommend just like going to IKEA and sitting in it and seeing what you prefer, because I feel like everyone has a different comfiness level for a chair, but we love them so much. The dogs love them so much. And yeah, I get so many questions on these chairs. So that's the first question. We just start with like travel or relationship. Oh, for anyone who asked a finance question, I'm going to throw those in my monthly budget video just because I feel like they're questions that other people are probably wondering. It was like, how much do you know how to save each month or things like that. So I figured any finance questions I got asked, I'll answer those in the monthly budget video. Actually, let's start with relationship. I feel like that's a good place to start. How did you and Matt meet? We met at work, little Grey's Anatomy moment when I started in the hospital almost 6 years ago, because Matt and I have been together for 5 years. I still cannot believe, sometimes I look at him and I'm like, I married my work crush. So Matt and I met at work. We worked on the same unit. He had another girlfriend at the time and I just thought he was like really cute, obviously, but I respected that he, you know, was in a relationship. And so we just became friends. You know, we went to like work parties and, you know, we'd see each other at work and chat and all that stuff. And then that relationship ended. This is like, to me, it's like totally a fate moment, but I was like not a huge dating app girl. I had like downloaded Tinder, gone on a date, deleted it, whatever. My two girlfriends and I were like bored on our work break, and so I downloaded Bumble for fun. And lo and behold, Matt was the first person I saw on Bumble. I took a screenshot of, found me on Bumble, took a screenshot. We sent it to each other at the same time. He was just like, oh, like, would you want to go on a date? Because obviously we were friends already. He wasn't sure if I was like into him. And I deleted the app. The rest is history. And we are literally married, which is kind of crazy. So that's how Matt and I met. We moved in together a year after dating because of the pandemic. See each other in May of 2019. Then we moved in together like May of 2020. We got engaged May 2023, and then we got married May 2024. So May is like a big meaning month for us, and our wedding anniversary is May 13th now. Thoughts on wedding registry versus no registry? I really just think it depends like what you as a couple want. There is no right or wrong way to go about anything to do with weddings, all that kind of stuff, right? Matt and I, because we've been living together for 4 years, we just didn't need any more items. And we knew that if we did a registry, like we would struggle with what to put on it, end up with items that, you know, we'd feel compelled to keep, but really don't need, and, you know, kind of clutter the house up. And so we ultimately just decided to do a honeymoon fund, which is great because it ended up paying for our honeymoon, which is like so awesome. That is sitting in a high yield savings account right now. So we're really grateful for that. Didn't live together before marriage, or you lived in your own separate like apartments and then came together. Maybe there's some items you want to upgrade. I definitely don't think there is like a right or wrong way to approach it. It just really depends on what like you value and what you want. If you feel like there's some higher end items that you don't want to buy, and maybe you already have like your honeymoon like paid for and like funded, maybe you do a registry instead. But I really just think it's up to the couple and like what they want. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I also knew I didn't want a bridal shower, so that kind of like ixnayed the registry option for me. Do you think your relationship with Matt is stronger now that you're married? This is an interesting question. Yes and no. I definitely don't think our relationship has changed much. Like we've always been people that has a good foundation, I think, because we started as friends. I feel like going into marriage felt not like a fresh start in the sense that like things were bad before, because I don't think that a marriage will ever like fix anything if your relationship was already on the rocks. But it almost felt like, okay, like this is the real deal. We are married now. Not that it was the real deal before. I don't really know how to like phrase it, but we really like anything that we were working on in our like dating life, we still need to keep working on in our married life. I said this in a vlog recently that I feel like we've been just a bit more intentional with the time that we spend together. We've always been really good about planning date nights and stuff. One of our biggest fears is like falling into like the roommate phase. Like we never want that to happen. And so we've just been, I feel like, extra intentional about spending quality time together. I think marriage has just showed us that we really are like each other's best friends at the end of the day. I definitely think it's so important to maintain your individuality and have your own hobbies and stuff like that. Like for example, today's a holiday Monday. Matt's doing his own thing. I'm doing my own thing. But there definitely was like the honeymoon phase. I feel like after we got married, like we were just like kind of extra giddy and stuff. So yes and no. I don't think our relationship has changed necessarily, but I do think it has gotten stronger for sure. Do you guys plan on moving again? Oh, I have no idea, honestly. I'm just such a big believer that like you just don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or in a year or 2 years. And the thing about social media that's hard is that people just hold you to an answer. But the reality is like we are living life for the first time too, right? Like I could say I don't want kids and then tomorrow find out I'm pregnant and then decide I want a kid. Like life is all about, you know, changing and evolving and adapting. I don't want to say anything that like sets us in stone now. I feel like having a fixer-upper or a house that you remodel, if we're gonna put all this money and time and effort into this home, I don't see us moving anytime soon just because I want to be able to enjoy it. It's not necessarily like a flip for us. I'd say short to medium term, definitely not moving unless it's something short term like for a travel nurse contract or something that's like 8 to 12 weeks, but we wouldn't sell this house. Honestly, love this to be our forever home. I think financially it makes sense just because we have a pretty low mortgage. Like our mortgage is under $400,000. And so I think that, you know, by the time our mortgage is paid off, like most people think about like, oh, what's the next house? But I think I would just like to stay in this house with a paid off mortgage, but who knows, honestly. But at least in the next 10 to 15 years, I don't anticipate us moving. Is Matt still planning on travel nursing in the future? I know you said you've pulled back on wanting to move to the States, but will that change based on the election? So if you guys are new here, during the pandemic, we wanted to look into travel nursing for him in the States. And so we started his visa application. But the thing with those visa applications when you go through an agency is that you just kind of never know where it's at. You don't really get a status report, or maybe it is just the agency that we went with. We never really got an update. So he like paid for his visa application and then we just never heard back 2 years later. I think we're gonna maybe look into a different agency. However, We're just kind of waiting to see what happens. I've made it like very abundantly clear. I have a huge passion for women's rights and abortion access, and I'm very pro-choice. And when Roe v. Wade got overturned, I said to Matt, like, I am not comfortable moving to the States. I'm not going to be moving somewhere where I have no control over my body, even if it's short term. You know, it was kind of around the time where we were starting to move, get this house, plan our elopement, all of that, and it just didn't feel like the right time. And you know, if Kamala gets into office and she's able to reverse overturn Roe v. Wade, we would consider it. But unfortunately, if the other individual ends up in the office, we will definitely not be considering moving to the States. Definitely would not feel safe at all. That's my short answer on that. Let's do travel questions. Someone said honeymoon plans. So we're doing a 1 year like delayed honeymoon on our anniversary, and we're going to France. Ottawa has a direct Ottawa to Paris flight now, which is great. We know the dates that we're thinking of going, but we need to sit down and like really plan it out. We are hoping to do between 7 to 9 days. We're not too sure how many yet. We're gonna do a few days in Disneyland Paris and then go to Monaco for the race. We're big F1 people. We probably won't get tickets to the actual race just because it's pretty expensive. I mean, never say never, who knows? Honestly, everyone we've talked to says just the ambiance and the atmosphere and the vibe of being there during a race is incredible. We have good friends who have been to a race or two in Italy, and they say even if you don't get tickets, just the atmosphere is amazing. So that is that. We're planning the trip around the Monaco GP, so we can always stay a little bit outside of Monaco and just train in. But that is our plan, like kind of our two favorite things, Disney and F1. So 2025 travel plans. The only other thing we have planned is a Disney cruise in February or March. We used to be really good about taking a trip over the winter to just kind of break up my seasonal depression. And I think for anyone who lives in Canada, they like to break up the winter. I obviously just have normal mental health problems on top of seasonal depression. So the last year or two, we didn't do any trips over the winter, and it was pretty tough for me. We were doing like a September trip and then a May trip, and we both kind of looked at each other and were like, we would honestly rather like squash both of those trips just because the weather is already so nice here, and just do one trip over the winter. I've decided I think I'm ready to do a cruise. I feel like a slew of reasons why I don't want to go on a cruise. I have a huge fear of like unknown bodies of water, fear of like deep dark bodies of water. Like when we would go tubing on the lake at the cottage in the summer and I'd fall off the tube in the middle of the lake, I would straight up have a panic attack. Thalassophobia. And I also don't have a fear of boats, but I have a fear of cruise ships because of the Titanic, which is silly because that was like 100 years ago and cruise ships are built differently. Also, just like my motion sickness that's brought on by long COVID, and I have pretty severe emetophobia. Like a cruise has never felt fun to me. But I feel like in my years of therapy and like exposure therapy and all this stuff, I feel like I'm kind of ready. Disney cruise, I mean, I think a lot of cruise ships offer a 3 or 4 day cruise, but I always said, and my therapist always said this when we were working through like my PTSD and stuff, that you have to give yourself like an ultimate goal to get to. And mine has always been a Disney cruise. It's something that terrifies me, but I knew if I was ever ready to do it, I would want it to be a Disney cruise and like really feel like a reward. And we are gonna do a 3 or 4 day Disney cruise in February or March, and then we're gonna probably tack on 2 days at Disney World after. We probably won't do like another Disney World trip that year, and then maybe we'll have some friends join us. Who knows? So those are kind of the travel plans that we have for 2025. When you solo travel, do you ever feel lonely? I think I feel homesick more than lonely, but also keep in mind the max that I'm away from home is 3 or 4 days, and I'm already like a very independent person, right? Like I work from home, Matt works in the office, so we don't see each other all day anyways. So nothing is really changing when I solo travel besides the fact that like Matt's just not there at night, but we FaceTime, and I think I do a good job at keeping myself busy, hanging out with friends, coworkers and stuff, that I never feel lonely, but I think it's totally normal too. I would say I feel more homesick than lonely though. And I talked about this in previous videos. I love taking you guys along for my little solo trips, no matter where they are. I always try to make my hotel room as homey as possible. So like I usually bring a checked bag for 2 days because I bring like a pillow, a blanket, slippers, tea. Like I bring all the things that make me feel so cozy at home with me. Something I also have been doing since the get-go with these like quick solo trips is anytime I start to feel lonely, which I feel like being lonely is a normal human emotion, but I try to flip it into gratitude. How lucky am I to be able to travel even to Toronto? I see this every time I film like a travel date video. I don't care where I go. I didn't travel a lot growing up. I feel so grateful for anywhere I get to go, and I try to remember that. Obviously, it's really normal to be lonely, but I try to shift it to like a mindset of like, how lucky am I to travel even by myself? But I definitely think the more you do it, the less lonely it gets. I also think going for shorter periods of time helps me. And then I got a few Disney questions as well. So let's kind of like add those on to the travel ones. What was the best thing you guys ate at Disneyland? First of all, the food was so good at Disneyland. So much better than Disney World. And we had heard it's because they prepare everything fresh at Disneyland. Like they have actual kitchens, whereas Disney World, like a lot of the quick services, it's like frozen food. So I'm not too sure how true that is, but okay, I'm literally watching one of my what I eat in a day at Disneyland videos because everything we ate was good. The best thing, I mean, the cheesy garlic bread was phenomenal. I also got a hickory coffee at Jolly Holiday. That was so delicious. It was a chimney sweep and it was hickory with like dark chocolate syrup and cold brew. That was so yummy. I loved the sparkling pickle lemonade. Honestly, it was absolutely divine. The best hot dog I had, because you guys know I'm a huge hot dog person, we tried a lot, was the cheesy garlic broth that we had at Edelweiss Snacks. And it was that cheesy pretzel garlic bread and it had a brat in the middle and it was so good. But honestly, we didn't really have any bad food. The worst thing I can think of that I ate, which wasn't even that bad, it was like a 4 on 10, was the blueberry corn dog. It was a corn dog and like blueberry syrup. Wasn't my favorite, but honestly the food there was so good. Did you enjoy Disneyland more than Disney World? I got asked this one a lot. And I want to be careful how I say it because I'm so grateful for any opportunity I get with the Disney Parks team. I'm definitely a Disney World person, but I think it depends where you started. People that, you know, grew up going to Disneyland are more nostalgic for Disneyland. People that grew up going to Disney World are more nostalgic for Disney World. When you think about it, like I'm used to Disney World that has 4 parks. They're very spread out. Keep in mind, this is coming from the perspective of someone with like PTSD, has issues with crowds. I can go to Disney World because 1, we go during off season, and 2, the crowds might be the same as they are in Disneyland, but they're so much more dispersed because the parks are so much bigger that I don't really ever have an issue with crowds at Disney World. Because the Disneyland parks are smaller, I did find them more crowded, and it could have just been the time of year we went with Halloween being end of September. I think because we're so used to Disney World being like you can go for 5, 6, 7 days and not run out of things to do, that we thought we needed the same amount of time in Disneyland. And then after 2 days we were like, oh, we've seen everything. And we had, I think we were there for 4 days. So I think that you need less time in Disneyland than you do Disney World, but I think there's pros and cons for each park. Disneyland has like a longer Pirates. I loved Indiana Jones. I loved Haunted Mansion Holiday. I liked their Space Mountain more, but then there's just a lot of things I also love about Disney World. It feels more like you're in the Disney bubble. There's pros and cons to both. We definitely had so much fun in Disneyland. I think if we were to do it again, which that's another question I got, how many days do you think are ideal for Disneyland? Do 3 days. I feel like maybe 1 day at each park and then a park hopper on your last day to do anything that you didn't do. But I think, yeah, you don't need more than like 3 days. Are you guys still interested in DVC? So we had talked about how it was a goal for us to buy DVC in the next few years. We have decided that we're just not DVC kind of people, honestly. I went to Disney World growing up, and then I went like in my teen years because I was starting to pay for it out of pocket. I was, you know, staying in like the more value resorts at Pop Century, at the time Caribbean Beach, and all that stuff. And then when, you know, I got like my adult job, I had a bit more disposable income, I was so excited to like stay moderate and then like maybe stay one night at like a deluxe resort renting DVC points or something. And I was so excited to be able to say like, oh, I've stayed at the Polynesian for a night. Guys, I am such a Pop Century girly. I am such a value resort girl because at the end of the day, all I'm doing is going to swim and going to sleep. I'm not really spending much time at the resorts. Matt and I've talked about this so much. We're literally saying how for our cruise, we were gonna go to Disney World for 2 days after. And he was like, should we rent DVC points? And then we both looked at each other and we were like, no, we should stay at Pop. Like we love Pop specifically so much. I don't think for us it's worth the investment just because we love the value resorts. And there's nothing against the deluxe resorts at all. Like we've loved our stay at the boardwalk. Of course, that's so memorable for us. We love renting DVC points and trying like one night at a new resort. But I don't think that DVC is for us right now, at least. We also book our trips around deals. So we book pretty much all of our Disney trips around like the discount. So for example, when we go in February or March, they're doing 25% off hotels for Canadians and then like a 25% off ticket offer. And so we always book our trips around that. So with DVC, we can't. And we tend to book our trips pretty last minute. I'm not saying it's not doable with DVC. With DVC, obviously you have a home resort. You can book it like 12 months out and we just never know that far in advance if we're gonna be traveling to Disney World. So for right now, we've actually changed our minds and we've decided no. We'd rather just like maybe take that money we were gonna put in a monthly payment, put it aside into like a travel sinking fund and a high yield savings account. At the end of the day, I'm a Pop Century girly. And now having, you know, this home, an older home that was like the surprise fixer-upper, our money is just like better used here and it's a bit more of a financial priority. So never say never, but for now we are living our best value resort life and we honestly just like love that. We also just love to book trips last minute, so DVC just doesn't feel right for us right now, but we love renting DVC points. Your favorite Disney pin? Ooh, that is a hard one. I'd probably have to say the first one I have, which is a 2007, I think it's a Stitch pin. That is the first pin that I traded at Disney World. And my biological father was previously married and we went to Disney World when I was, I want to say 10 or 11. That was my first trip. We stayed at All-Star. I got really into pin trading on that trip. Unfortunately, after that, my biological father and said person separated. And in the midst of that, I lost all of my Disney souvenirs. To go get them, they were already gone, whether they were like thrown in the trash or donated. And I was devastated because I had done so much pin trading. I had managed to keep one pin and it's been sitting in my memory box ever since I was 10 or 11. I have one pin, one memory from that trip, and that is my 2007 pin. So that one has the most meaning to me because it was the first trip I ever took and it's like the only physical piece I have from that trip, like the only souvenir. I definitely think that's my favorite one just because it really started it all, which is so cheesy, but it's so true. I get this one all the time. Going to Disney World for the first time, any tips and recommendations? And yes, I have a lot of tips and tricks for you. First, manage your expectations. Go into the day with like 3 things that you want to accomplish, whether that's 1 food you want to try and 2 rides you want to do, 1 parade, 1 ride, 1 food. You're going to be overwhelmed and you're not going to do everything on your first trip unless you're there for like 11, 12 days. You're not gonna be able to do everything, so don't stress about doing everything. I feel like going into the day with like your top 3 or top 5 that you want to accomplish is the way to go. You have to be willing to adapt on the fly. Rides are gonna go down, it's gonna rain, you're gonna need a nap, your feet are gonna be sore, and you have to be willing to pivot. If you aren't used to walking a lot before your Disney trip, highly recommend like upping your mileage about a month out from your trip, going for longer walks. We average about 30 to 35,000 steps a day at Disney. And because we walk about 15,000 at home, it's totally fine for us. But I feel like some people aren't used to walking that much. So I would recommend just like upping your mileage, going for longer walks, going to the gym, doing some cardio, getting ready. Bring good shoes. Don't dress to be cute, dress to be comfy. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Bring your own water bottle, buy your fuel rods ahead of time on Amazon. Disney has fuel rod like vending machines. So if you buy them ahead of time on Amazon, they're cheaper. And basically it's just like a little portable charger. When you're done with it, you can exchange it for like a fully charged fuel rod at the Disney fuel rod locations. They have them in all 4 parks. They're great. And I get this one a lot too, and it's just kind of like, why do you love Disney so much? Is there something you love about Disney? And I think for a lot of us, it kind of comes down to the same thing. It's like very healing to your inner child. For me, and there's obviously like a lot I'm just not going to get into on the internet, but for me, just feel really connected to my inner child. I had to grow up really quick, and I feel like I did at some points miss out on things in my childhood, and to me, it's just been like very healing. I think maybe that's the key, is that it reminds us of who we were before we grew up and we had all these, you know, responsibilities and failures and rejections in school and work and all this stuff, and it allows us to really just like be a kid again. Matt and I always say that the Disney bubble is the only place that we go on vacation where we really feel so disconnected from the outside world, and we don't care about work and we don't care about what's going on like outside of the bubble. It's really the only place we can completely let loose and just like be children and have fun. But I think a lot of it has to do with like just healing your inner child. I feel like especially also having mental health problems, like it's the one place where I just feel very like content. And I mean, I've honestly talked a lot about this in like therapy in the past when I've just been doing a lot of work on like my inner childhood things. And I think when you become an adult, you kind of start to realize how traumatic certain things were in your childhood. And there's like a lot, like I said, I won't get into it. Really feel like it does have a deeper meaning for me, but it doesn't need to be hashed out on the internet. I don't know. I just feel like Disney is one of those places that kind of like fills my cup, and I totally get that it's not for everyone, and that is okay, but life is just too short to not enjoy the things that you enjoy and to also judge people for the things that they enjoy. How is your half marathon training going? It's going good. It's going really slow, and that's all I want. If you guys are new here, I've run like 6 or 7 half marathons. Then I got diagnosed with long COVID in 2022. You guys know it's taken a toll on me. It's still taking a toll on me, and I've had to completely rework and rewire my body. I went from being able to run like 15 to 20 kilometers, a half marathon, to not even be able to run a kilometer. So we're taking it super, super slow. I'm actually going back and I'm doing a 5K training plan, and then I'll start a 10K, and then I'll do a half, because I want to completely rewire my body. And I'm really scared. Honestly, this is the reason why I put off starting to train and run again, was that I was scared to like do more damage than good. And instead of jumping into a half marathon training plan like I thought I was going to do, I've decided I'm going to go back to the 5K one, then do a 10K, then do a half. I'm using the None to Run app. I really love it. And then I've just been doing some cross training and stuff. My plan is to run, hopefully maybe Wine and Dine next fall at Disney. I love the Run Disney races. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But honestly, I'm just taking it super, super slow and enjoying it. How's Salem? Do you think you'll move him back closer to you? Yes, that is the plan eventually when he retires. If you're new here, I rode for 10 years. I have a horse named Salem. He's still mine. I do own him. But I had a few really bad riding falls around 20 to 23, like age, like 20 to 23 years old. And I have post-concussion syndrome. I have 2 unresolved slip discs in my back, just some damage. I feel like the older that I got, the more I kind of got scared, and the more I realized how fragile life was. And I know you could say getting in the car is, you know, you take the risk every day, but I just felt like it was in my best interest to stop riding, because every time I would get off, I would just be in so much pain. And I did so much physio and rehab and all this stuff, and I just never felt right riding. My coach at the time said, like, you know, we have a training program. We'd love to put Salem in it. So he's on what's called like an off-property lease. So they basically take care of him and they pay for him in exchange for having him teach lessons. So he's been there for, gosh, like 4 years now, 3-4 years now, and he's doing great. He is getting older though, and he'll probably retire in the next few years, but it's really the best case scenario right now. He has pretty bad arthritis, so it's really important for him to stay moving all the time, or as much as possible. He is actually at the barn in the area that I grew up in, which we have moved like almost an hour away from the city now. So we're about 45 minutes away from him. And he's just doing so happy there that there's no point in me moving him right now, because that's just like where he deserves to be and where he should be right now. However, when the time comes that he is ready to retire, he will come out this way. We've already checked out a few barns around here. Come to us in the next few years when he's ready to retire, but we're not like rushing it or anything. Like when the time is right, it'll be right, but he will be moved out here when he retires. I am not riding anymore for health reasons, but I still own him and he's still my baby, but he is being very well taken care of on his off-property lease right now. This is a good one. What are your thoughts on people feeling like influencers need to touch on world and political issues? This is a very loaded question in my opinion, but I do have some thoughts on it. Please take it with a grain of salt. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. If you want to share things that you're passionate about, there's nothing wrong with that. After I feel like being on social media for a while and having world issues arise, I've realized that there are so many popular accounts out there that are legitimately educating people, that we don't need your favorite fashion TikToker to tell you what's going on in a war that's going on across the world. I think sometimes it can do more harm than good. And I've learned this too, right? Like I've been the one that's quick to post something because I want people to know that I'm involved and I care, but then I don't take the time to research it. Interesting that everyone expects people to constantly comment on these kind of sorts of topics. I don't think that an influencer should be someone's go-to resource when it comes to large world issues like this. Once again, I think we've all at some point kind of like jumped the gun to post something before taking the time to educate and research yourself, and then that's where information goes wrong. And I don't know, I was always raised that if you are donating in public, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I was always taught that you donate in private. Like if you have to donate and then tell someone that you donated it, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I think that donating and protesting does a lot more than an Instagram story does. Wonder if it's doing more harm than good, having like everyone post on something that they're not taking the time to educate themselves on and learn from. Like I would rather wait a few days now to post something, take my time, learn from both sides of the story, and educate myself. Where this like need came in to have like everyone talk about things, because at the end of the day, if you have all of these people posting about stuff and you can't accredit where the source of your information came from, it's doing more harm than good. You're spreading misinformation, and those are just my thoughts, at least, on it. What are your thoughts on YouTube lately? I find this question interesting. YouTube will always be my favorite platform to post on. I love it so much. I love connecting with you guys. I definitely feel like I have a better relationship with YouTube now that it went down in uploads. I feel like I have a bit more freedom, a bit more flexibility. My mindset has changed when it comes to YouTube, but not in a bad way. I have always said this. I have a very big scarcity mindset when it comes to social media. I just like never believe like why this is happening to me. I feel like I'm always gonna be working on my scarcity mindset when it comes to YouTube. And even like this past month, I'm like, why did I gain 6,000 subscribers? Like why didn't so-and-so gain them? She deserves them more than me. I really struggle I feel so much gratitude, but I really struggle. I mean, I said this in a vlog a few weeks ago that I don't feel deserving. It was in my monthly budget video. Like, I don't feel deserving of this life. And that's something I'm actively trying to work through. But you guys are like my little family. I love YouTube so much. Best and worst parts about being a creator. Best aspect is definitely the community. I love chatting with you guys on Instagram and DMs and like getting to know you guys. The worst, I think, would be just like dealing with the hate comments. I feel like you're almost in this bubble. The first like 25,000, 50,000 followers. You're in this like bubble. You don't really get a lot of mean messages. The first time I saw something mean about me online, I was just so taken aback because I wasn't used to it. It's one of those things that you know, like I know that people unfollow me and I see the number sometimes go down on my subscribers and I'm fine with that. But to see it like posted on the internet, I was just so taken aback by that. And Zoe actually touched on this on her recent like mental health vlog or like healing diary, that you could get 99 nice comments, but if you get one negative comment, you're going to focus on the one negative comment. And that is definitely me. I'm working on it. Aspen Overt actually said this on a pretty basic podcast episode, or she said something like this, that most of the time the hate about you online is not even real. So why feed into it? Like, most of the things being said about you on Reddit are not even real, which goes for me too. Not even real, not even close to real. I don't even know how these people would think that's real or know it's real. It's not real information. It's like, why are you wasting your energy on it? Think about the people that you look up to. Those are not the people that are spreading shit about you online. You know what I mean? Those are not the people writing negative things about you on Reddit. So why are you giving them your energy? Like, when you think about the person that you want to be and the people you look up to, those people are not the people shitting on you online. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, it just comes down to people who are unhappy with their lives. So funny, because out of the like 3 or 4 Reddit comments there are about me online, it's from one single girl. And when you click on her profile, she is in snark pages every single day, multiple times a day, shitting on other people. And I just can't imagine having that much negative energy in your life, that like that's what you spend your entire day doing outside of work, is like shitting in multiple snark groups. Like, I just don't get it. But when I was seeing things, I was kind of taken aback. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe someone thinks that about me as a people pleaser. But the more I think about it, I just like feel bad, because my heart just hurts for these people who have so much like hatred and negativity in them that they feel the need to go say stuff like this online. I was also just like raised, if you don't have anything nice to say, you just like don't say it at all. And I guess that maybe just doesn't stand these days. I definitely think that's the worst part. Like I said, people at the end of the day are gonna make assumptions about you and they're not even true. So why give it the time of day? People don't know you. The best part is the community, because I love you guys so freaking much. You guys are the best. Ooh, okay, favorite YouTubers you like to watch. So let's do like a rapid fire of all of my favorite creators. Like, if I wasn't filming this video, I would click on this and watch it right now. Destiny Sidwell, love her. Jessica Braun, love her. Kira Madison, I really enjoy her content. She is a peds oncology nurse. I also love Chandler Ainsley. She has a vlog channel and a book channel. Michelle Reed, of course. Ups and Thoughts, very aesthetic, cozy content. Heather McClary, Clara Pierce, Books Are Sick, Abby Aslin, Jenna Hong, Elizabeth Travato, Sarah Caroli, Katie is Reading, Jen Lauren, of course, Brianna, Caitlin, Peruse Project, of course, I love my girl Reagan, Lauren Wilcom. I'm like literally scrolling through my subscriptions right now. Of course, Josh Wiseman. Who doesn't watch Josh Wiseman? Madison, Greta Wilson. Of course, Rachel. Come on, Rachel's like an OG. Okay, that's all I can think of right now. That's like a super rapid fire. All the people that I've loved watching. I haven't really found anyone new lately. So if you guys have any new creators you love to watch, let me know down below. I'm always looking for new people. Okay, this is a good one. Why do you tend to repeat everything twice in the vlogs? I've noticed a bit more comments on my videos on that recently. It's all up here. I have really bad memory loss from my post-concussion syndrome, and I also have really bad brain fog from my long COVID. Honestly, I hate editing my videos now because I tend to repeat everything 2 to 3 times, and it's not even on purpose. That's just the way that my brain works. Even when I'm having a conversation with Matt, my mom, whoever it is, I repeat everything. Like, I'll repeat everything, and I'll repeat everything. Like, literally, that's how a vlog sounds when I'm editing it, which is why sometimes the vlogs end up so choppy. And the reality is sometimes I just like forget to cut a piece out. That's just the way my brain works, but I try my best to cut it out as much as possible. And I do apologize if it bothers you. I'm so sorry. Okay, home questions. Favorite thing about living in the country and the thing you miss the most about living in the city? I think the only thing I miss about living in the city is the close proximity to things. Like, if I needed to on my lunch break, I could run like 4 or 5 different errands. whereas the only place I can get to in like 20 minutes is the nail salon and the grocery store. So maybe just like my close proximity to things, especially when it comes to like filming videos and stuff, if I need to go somewhere. The pros still outweigh the cons. I just have to plan a bit better. Favorite thing about living in the country? I mean, I grew up in a small town, so this just feels like coming home to me. Our neighbors are so nice. We literally have like dinner with them. They're just so kind and welcoming and generous. Just the quiet out here. And we also feel a lot safer out here. How do you balance house chores with hobby time? I actually got this one like 2 or 3 times in the Q&A. I got you. I struggle with this so much, but I think it's so important to note the kind of person you are. One, I am a night owl. I say this in like every video. I do most of my reading from like 10 p.m. to like midnight or 1 in the morning, uninterrupted, no phone. Like that's 2 to 3 hours of solid reading time. That is my preferred reading time. If you're a morning person, you might be getting up early and reading from like 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 before you start work. So for me, my hobby time never really interrupts my chore time, my house work time, because they're just completely different times of the day. There's definitely times after I finish work where I want to read, of course, but I know that I'm going to have that uninterrupted reading time in the evening. After work every day, I have about an hour and a half till Matt comes home, and I do like a 30-minute clean after work every day. I put on a timer, I put my headphones on, and I just jam out, and I tidy up the house, and I pick a different room every day to like clean or tidy up quick, whether it be the bathrooms, mopping the floors, vacuuming, sweeping, putting laundry away, etc. Granted, I also do work from home, so I don't have a commute, which I do recognize is a privilege getting to work from home. I feel like the house is messier now that I work from home because I'm eating meals at home all day, whereas when you go to the office, come home, it's going to be in the same state that it was when you left in the morning. So I actually feel like I have more tidying up to do now. That's kind of how I tackle it. We try to do it throughout the week. That way we aren't spending our entire weekend cleaning up the house. Obviously, we don't have kids. It's very different if you have kids. This is just our situation. But that also allows us to have more time to spend with each other on the weekends and do hobbies and activities and such. Definitely having a dedicated time, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon or even the evening after dinner, setting a 30-minute timer every day and just tackling whatever you need to do around the house. And that's also what allows us to have a lot of hobby time on the weekend too, is that we kind of space out our chores throughout the week and get it done so that the weekends are for us. I know you guys call your house a surprise fixer-upper. Do you have any regrets on the purchase? Of course we do. I think that's totally normal. Definitely a lot when we first moved in, and there's just a lot of emotions that I didn't want to share because I never want to come across as ungrateful. It was a huge surprise for us, of course. We kind of knew going into an older home that there would be stuff that the inspector didn't find, of course. Like, it's an old home, you don't know what's behind the walls. For us, it was more not about the home inspector, but about how half-assed the previous few owners had DIY'd things. That really frustrated us. It's normal to have regrets, and it's normal to be like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? Especially at the beginning, the first few months were really bad for us. Never wanted to talk about it online because we are so lucky to have a house. And granted, like, we worked our asses off to, of course, put like a down payment on our first house, and so lucky to be in our house with the interest rate that we have. Like, I just feel so guilty talking about it because we of course have a COVID interest rate of like 1.8% only for a few more years. I just feel so much like guilt that I don't want to sit here and be like, well, oh my gosh, we regret buying this house at the beginning, because how lucky are we to even have a house in like the state of economy that we're in? Definitely have regretted it. And there's even days now where Matt's like, man, I still wish we lived at the condo. I think it's normal to have those fluctuations in emotions. And at the end of the day, we have a roof over our head. This house has stood for 100 and something years. It will stand for longer. I think we accepted it probably 3 or 4 months in. Like, there's definitely days where we still are like, wow, it would have been so nice to have a house without work, but we've learned a lot. I also grew up in an old house, so I think I took it easier than Matt did because Matt's only ever grown up in like a new build home that, you know, like his parents bought. I think Matt's learned so much. He's gained so much confidence. I'm so proud of the person that he's become and learning to do things himself. I will say I'm happy we didn't do this as our first home. I'm really glad that we bought the condo first because I think that would have been a whole different thing to deal with if we had bought this as our first home. I don't know, it's hard because there's definitely days where we do regret it, but ultimately, no, we got a really good price on this house and it got us into an area that we love. And I try to once again flip it to this like gratitude mindset that we could not have afforded a single family home in this city. Like, our house in this city would have easily gone for $800,000, which we were not pre-approved for. I don't know, we have our days. It's a lot of work, but it's also very like validating, and to be able to say like you're doing this all yourself with of course like help from engineers and stuff like that, but like to do most of the work yourself is so validating. But it's so normal to, like, if you have a fixer-upper or a house that has more issues than you thought, it is so normal to have days and moments where you regret it and you cry and you wonder why you did this. But I try to look at the big picture. We have a roof over our head. We have a house. grateful that we have like the resources and the means to put into this house slowly and learn to do things ourselves. I also got asked too if we have any projects that we've regretted doing so far. And I don't think that there's many. I kind of regret the library at times, only because I feel like we rushed it because I just really wanted a library so bad and I wanted that to be our first project. Looking at it now, based on like the house layout, it's in a really good spot, but I wish we would have just waited a bit because not that it's unfinished, there's just like some finishing touches we have to do. I wish we had like waited a little bit longer to see like what color paint we wanted in there. I don't know, it just feels very like bland. I feel like it's very modern compared to the rest of our house, and our house gives more that like, we want the house to give more of like a traditional cozy coastal cottage Nancy Meyers feel. So we're trying to find ways that we can make the library look that way and kind of like match the rest of our house, even though we don't really have like one set style. But it does feel like a little bit like cold and like just white everywhere. So that's something I think I regret. Not the library as a whole, but just kind of how quickly we did it, because I just like wanted to do it so bad and I wish I would have waited it out. I'm kind of low-key scared to see how long this video is because I just had to change the battery and it was fully charged when I started. That's like the only project I slightly regret. I don't regret doing it, but just that we didn't really take our time with it. But everything else, I feel like we've waited a good amount of time to start it and really think it out and like think logically what the best decision was. I also didn't think about what I would do when I ran out of space, which we have now had happen. Like we pretty much filled up like the books that we took from the condo and put in the library, we pretty much filled up the whole library itself. So I didn't really take into account like what we would do as our collection grows over the years. But otherwise, we're really happy with everything that we've done so far. But I'm sure there's gonna be things that we do that we regret down the line. And I think that's so normal. Do you and Matt ever have financial disagreements about the house projects? Of course we do. I'd say we have more disagreements, not financial disagreements, in terms of like what to do next, but I guess that kind of falls under financial disagreements. Matt is like the more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like thoughtful? No, that's not the right word, but I can't think of the word right now. Like methodical, and I'm the more like, I want to like give every room a room makeover, and Matt's like, we have to get the roof fixed and we have to get the structural engineer out and we have to do these like what we call like the boring things that are necessary to a house. I want to just like give every room like a room makeover on a budget. And so we probably have the most disagreements about that. Like we'll sit down usually once a month, we go over our finances because we keep those separate, and we'll talk about, you know, like what's next for the projects. We did that literally this past weekend, for example, because we have the structural engineer coming out and he was like, what's on your radar? Because you guys know I've been working with Remax Canada, which is like a real estate site here in Canada, for the better half of the year. And every month they do a different home project on a budget. Sometimes we definitely disagree because I'm like, I want to do the kitchen, and he's like, okay, but this and this needs to get done before we do the kitchen. And it even happened in the condo. I think especially if you have one person who's more like methodical and one person who's more like wants to do the room makeovers like Matt and I are. But I think communication is key, and like I said, we sit down at least once a month to review what's next, what's coming, what we need to do, how much money we spent on the house this month, if we need to reel it in, if we have extra money to put towards something. Like for example, this month we had enough money to get the structural engineer and the plumber out, and so Matt booked that. But yeah, biggest tip is having like a house meeting once a month. I think that is so important. You're not going to agree on everything, especially if you have two different senses of style too. What is your fixer-upper bucket list 5-year plan? Matt and I just talked about this the other day actually. It's so hard to plan that though, because you just don't know what's going to happen to your house. Also, side note, but this side of my hair always falls so much faster than this side, and I don't know why, because I put equal amounts of product in it, but this side always falls so fast. It really bothers me. Kind of hard to plan because you just never know what's going to happen to your house or what's going to need to be fixed. But in terms of things that we'd like to do in the next 5 years, finances allow, we want to put a full bath in this main floor bathroom because we're losing a full bath upstairs. This is a 2.5 bath. When we bought it, it was completely missed by the inspector. We're not going to get into that. One of our bathrooms on the second floor had been leaking for years because of, it was like a series of unfortunate events. Chimney stack was leaking, which caused leaking, and you could tell it had been happening for years, and they'd been covering it up because they were putting new ceilings on every time and leaving the ring marks everywhere. So that eventually just kaput, and we ended up gutting that bathroom, but we have another full bath luckily on the second floor. But the plan is to turn that leaked half bath that's gutted into a more open hallway. Because it's kind of like right when you come up the stairs. So we're going to knock those walls down with the structural engineer and turn that into like our laundry room and just have like a larger landing. But that means that our bathroom down here on the first floor, we want to turn into a full bath because we have a clawfoot tub right now for a shower, which just isn't ideal. It works, but it's not ideal. So we want to put in a shower here and redo this bathroom on the first floor in the next 5 years. We also need to knock our shed down because the roof is just caving in and it's just a hot mess, and we have to do it before it comes down itself because it's attached to our sunroom, which is attached to our siding, so that needs to come down. We have to redo our wraparound porch because that's, you know, rotted wood. Structurally, our foundation and everything is good, which is great. We'd love to start replacing our windows. I don't think we'll do them all at once, but maybe just like a few at a time. And those are like really the big projects I can think of. Figure out what to do with our like sunroom, mudroom. I'd like to make it like a 3-season if possible. But the main priority are things inside, so like the bathroom here and upstairs, and then landscaping. That's our big project for next year, is hiring a landscaper to do the backyard for us and like rip things down and just get it all situated. So that's kind of like on our bucket list, I guess, if you will. Okay, I think I'm gonna answer a few more questions because I feel like this is getting so long. But other than the house, what are you guys saving for next big budget goals? I mean, the house is where most of our money is going, but I would say in the next few years, our priorities really are to like travel as much as we like financially can with the house before we decide if we want kids. I'd like to wait till 30 at least. And so I really just want to get in some traveling around the world. We are either going to get a trailer or an SUV. For one of us, we both drive sedans, but with the amount of like work we're doing on the house, Facebook Marketplace, we both like buying used things. It's kind of hard to do that when you have a car. We are considering doing a trailer, like a car trailer, getting a hitch on one of the cars and getting like a small trailer instead of an SUV, which was on our goals for this year, but it's just like not a financial priority right now. So I'm assuming in the next few years, one of us will probably trade our car in for an SUV. But yeah, otherwise, like, of course, most of the money realistically is going towards the house. I feel like I have some big financial goals. Obviously, like I put my finances and my life online, Matt doesn't, and we do separate finances, so I'm not going to speak for him. It's kind of like adventurous, but I'd like to hit maybe like $50,000 invested, which to some people probably doesn't seem like much, but I did start my investment journey late in life. In the next like 5 years, I think. I mean, that makes sense. 10,000 a year is kind of like what I'm maintaining right now. So that that would be really cool if it happened. I really don't have like a desire to pay my car off early. I mean, I'd like to have my car until it's paid off and keep driving it, but I just feel like it's better for me because my interest rate on my car is so low. I'd rather put that money into investments, and like ROI is better on that end than paying my car off early. So that's not really a goal for me right now. I think I have like $10,000 left on my car. I know you guys have a Breville. Do you have any favorite espresso beans? Yes, we love Balzac's espresso blend, Kicking Horse espresso. And my biggest tip is to not buy beans before trying. We love going to local coffee shops, trying their coffee. If we like it, we'll buy the beans. Those are our two favorites. We recently had the Lavazza coffee beans at the lounge, the Air Canada lounge, and we loved those. So we want to try those next. Those are our favorite beans. I got a lot of questions about school and what's going on with that. And honestly, I'm just not in a rush, you guys. I have 2 classes left, and I took about a year off just with the house and everything going on and just my mental health, and then, you know, planning the elopement and stuff behind the scenes that was like a secret. I wanted to just like be able to fully enjoy 2024, honestly, and how big of a year it was going to be. I am planning on going back this winter and doing 1 class and then 1 class in the spring, and then hopefully graduating in the summer or fall, but I'm not in a rush. I feel like, you know, like I am 27, but I'm not like in a rush to finish school because I am paying out of pocket, but I have 2 classes left. Yeah, I got a lot of questions on that as well. Any advice on dealing with emetophobia? I'm having an extra hard time with mine lately. First of all, my heart is sending you, or my heart, I'm sending you so much love. My heart completely gets what you're going through. Please know that if you struggle with this, my DMs are open anytime. I'm so happy to chat. I feel like it's something that can make you feel so alone. I'm more than happy to chat about it if you ever need it. I think that finding your root cause is really important because from here, how you deal will differ. For me, at least, a little story about my emetophobia. I have always kind of had some fear of vomiting. It wasn't huge growing up. It got a lot worse for me when I got long COVID because I had already had emetophobia growing up. I got diagnosed with long COVID and I was nauseous 24/7, and the fear of like not being able to distinguish if I was nauseous from my long COVID or if I was actually sick was terrifying to me because one of my biggest fears is getting sick in public. And I never wanted to leave the house because I was like, well, what if this is the one time I'm actually like nauseous from being sick, right? Like when you're nauseous with long COVID and nauseous all the time, you have to just learn to adapt and like live your regular life. Not being able to distinguish like where my nausea was coming from is definitely what brought my emetophobia out even more. So I think distractions are really helpful. So going for a walk, getting outside, a shower, rubbing alcohol. That's a tip I learned when I was working in the hospital inpatient. Sniffing, rubbing alcohol wipe helps get rid of your nausea almost completely. Having a little emergency kit, you know, Gravol, Dramamine, peppermint oil, gum, ginger chews, whatever it may be. And also affirmations. I feel like no one talks about affirmations. I have a few on my phone that I say to myself like out loud whenever I'm having like a panic attack about a emetophobia. The first one is, people rarely get sick. People I know wouldn't even worry about eating or getting blank. I'm just like everyone else and I'm gonna be fine. I know I feel nausea, stomach ache, discomfort, but it's mostly caused by my anxiety. In reality, the symptoms I feel aren't severe. It's just in my head. And the last one is, even if it hurts or feels bad or feels gross right now, it will pass. It always does. It's just about waiting it out. I've spent so many nights worried that I threw up and I never actually did. Those are some of the ways that I deal with it on a day-to-day basis, but the fear is still there. It's just finding little ways to cope and then also little ways to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone. I feel like you are generally a really positive person. What are your biggest insecurities? I feel like it's weird because I feel like I get like compliments on it, but it's my voice. I was always teased and made fun of growing up for my voice. I hated listening to my voice. So starting YouTube was interesting because I have to listen to my voice all the time. I feel like I just have a really like weird pitch. I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't feel normal to me. I never hear anyone talk the way I do. I feel like I just have a really, I don't know, it doesn't feel very feminine to me, and I've always been really insecure about my voice and also my chin. I got asked too if I would ever get plastic surgery, and yes, I want to get a chin like lipo, tuck, whatever, so bad. I just don't have much of a chin. I've always been someone who has had like a double chin, triple chin like my whole life at most angles, and I've always been really insecure about my chin, and I really want to get a chin like tuck or whatever that's called one day, like the one that JC Marie Smith had, or I think Kenzie Elizabeth got one too. That is like the only plastic surgery I would probably get. I really would like to have like a very defined chin. Okay, I think that's honestly most of them. If there's any more, maybe I can include them in another video. And like I said, all the finance related questions will be included in my monthly budget video. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe you learned something about me. I don't know, maybe. If you guys are new here, I hope you stick around, join our little corner of the internet, hang out for a while. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.